Innovation Unplugged from the Alabama Community College System's Innovation Center takes you inside Alabama's workforce development. Join us for enlightening conversations with community leaders and industry experts showcasing experiences, addressing key issues, and celebrating successes in the workforce initiatives across the state. Well, hey, this is another episode of Innovation Unplugged. This is the first of the new year. So I guess we'll, January, it's cold outside. We're down here in God's country.
Yes.
But I'm Houston Blackwood, Workforce Director for the Innovation Center. And on my left is Matt Heaton, Career Readiness Manager. You guys all know and love him. But on my right today is our extremely special guest. And welcome to the Good Time Gang, Ebony Horton Bradley.
Thank you.
Who's the Dean of Students at Reed State Community College, formerly known as Reed State Technical College. It's a big deal.
It is a huge deal.
Moving on up and getting that title change just a couple months ago.
Yeah. Absolutely. The difference in that is that since 1963, we've been that technical college that offers those technical credentials. Our whole focus was preparing students to go straight to work.
Yeah.
With this community college field through SAC CLC accreditation, now our students can actually take courses with us and transfer on like they do with our other sister colleges. Mm-hmm. So it's not just about workforce, although everything's about workforce, sure. Right?
Right now
it's about a later opportunity for them to go ahead, get those credentials, move forward to a 4-year degree, doctorate, whatever, mm-hmm. and then continue into the workforce the way they desire. So that is a huge plug for us right now.
It's a huge shift. And I'm glad you opened up with that story, because the reason I wanted you to come on is this series, the next 4 podcasts are going to be in a leadership series. And one of them, I wanted to be telling the story, right? Awesome. And there's no greater story about Reed State than that shift mm-hmm. from what you're able to do for your students.
Yes,
and we're going to dive all into that today. But we're so glad you're here. I mean, I've been excited about this since all over the break. So just give us a background, Ebony. We always open up where you came from.
Okay.
Where you been and how you got right here.
Awesome. Well, I tell you what, when it comes to the Alabama Community College System, I got my start at Enterprise State. I'm from a little town called Ozark, Alabama, in between Dothan and Troy. And I started there as a student support service secretary. So I got the opportunity to engage special populations and get them where they needed to go there. Now, before then, I was a news reporter for 15 years. I started off as an obituary reporter. Oh, gosh. So had that opportunity to be that last voice for people who had passed away. Whatever was printed in that newspaper, that was really folks' last time to learn about somebody. So I took that job very seriously, and as a result was very quickly promoted. So I've been everything from a business reporter to a feature reporter to an editor. And being able to be a part of that community. And from there, basically, just always pursued areas of journalism. So feature magazines, podcasts like this, took advantage of those opportunities before moving into the system. And as you know, as they say, history has it, I'm now blessed to be a dean at a school. So from secretary to dean has always been a really, really fun journey that I get to share with my team to let them know anything's possible.
That is a great story. I think we always look for that growth in our students. Even, Skills for Success students, but all of our students, and really our team too. Like, I tell my team all the time, like, hey, there's going to be something else for you at some point because you're amazing. It's okay, but you're looking for that telling that story of students' journey through whatever. How often do you really lay out all the facts of your own journey from the department secretary to dean, and what that was like to climb those ladders and weave through those obstacles? Like, how often do you relate that story of yours to what the students are going through?
What I like for students to see, what my team to see, is success, right? You all have skills for success. That success word is so powerful this day and age. And so to be able to share that entire story, they have to subscribe to the movie. That doesn't happen a lot. What I want them to be able to see is someone walking and moving in authority and moving in a position that lets them know that they're cared for and they're supported. started. And then when we have those down moments where you might have a student struggling, or you might have someone come to you and say, hey, I want to do more. I want to be more. How do I do that? That's the opportunity to really talk about that journey. Because truth be told, we're all part, or we're a result of those lived experiences, right? When I brought some shirts in today, I was joking because the way I folded them was from what I did in retail at Target right here in Tuscaloosa.
I saw that.
So that I'm talking about a podcast and the honor to be on this show with you all today, but that lived experience kind of helped bring value to today. And so anytime I get that opportunity to share with students those kinds of things to help their life, I'm game for it.
Yeah, so you brought in these two shirts we're wearing, folded neatly. It looked like a bookstore.
Yeah,
I saw that, and in my lizard brain, I thought, look at that.
Shout out to Tuscaloosa Target, man. Hey, lived experiences.
RJ.
Yeah, and I would like to make a note that this is the first college to come on the show to actually bring us some swag.
Yeah. We're not opposed to that.
Not opposed to it. Just saying. So Ebony, when did you realize that being able to tell a story could change campus culture? Because you did that at ACCS, and that's where we met.
Yeah.
Right? And it was a phenomenal experience working with you. I was so proud of you when you moved on. But as you went to read, you were like, okay, when did telling stories become a way to move that cultural needle?
When you think about our culture and you think about where we are right now, we're a FOMO culture, right? Everybody has that fear of missing out. You also have that opportunity to want to be a part of something. So you have those early adopters, as we talk about in marketing, who no matter what you put out, they want to be the first to have it. But then in college, or the people pursuing education, you find a lot more of the late adopters, where college might be a good idea, but these folks want to know what they're going to get out of that. And so in order to do that, you have to take the same marketing that Apple takes, the same marketing that private schools take, and really show them value. And the best way to do that is through relatability of people, relatability of culture, relatability of understanding a story and seeing student success. And so in the journalism days, I remember my first interview and coming into the community college system at Enterprise State, they asked why you want to be somewhere. And I let them know, hey, in journalism, you get the best and the worst of someone. You can do a feature article on a best day of someone and just make their dreams come true. But then you also have those crime stories where somebody had a really bad day and the world's going to know about it because of me. What I looked forward to in education is that you get a little bit of in between. Yeah. You get a little bit of, hey, I'm just going through the motions to try to get to a next step. And so to be able to capture that for students so that next person out there who really isn't sure of what that next step is can see that it can be done, that's, I think, the key to really, really making stories relevant for our community and for our growth.
You know, one of your most the only social media I have is LinkedIn, but I saw one of your most relatable posts was the one about it's not too late.
Yeah,
and I think it was nursing, and there was like moms and daughters who attended together. And I thought that was really cool because so many folks, like, they get they get into a career and it's a job and it's working, but then they're like, what's next? I'm too old.
Absolutely.
You know, and so you make that story like they don't want to miss that opportunity. Even if they're 45 and their kids are now driving and they got some time, catching them. You know,
absolutely.
I love that.
You hear that a lot, too, especially in rural communities where you have that mom who was that homemaker, who did everything she could to make sure the husband was successful, the children were successful. And now that you're an empty nester, you're like, now what? So why not take advantage of an opportunity, many times in the community college, a no-cost opportunity, absolutely, whether that's skills for success or any other credential, where you can come back and be that difference maker.
Yeah. A lot of times, Matt, we try, skills of success, we try to be in the background as much as possible. But I think we had some thoughts on what it looks like to be that leader out front, but not out front.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, a while ago you mentioned relevancy and having a relevant team. You had written about leaders who hide their hand. So talking about that hidden hand leadership, what does that look like in practice?
It looks a lot like leaders who have arrived, for lack of better words. They've been in the position that they want to be in, and now they're pushing everyone else to get ahead in that same way. I tell you, when I was at Enterprise State, whom I love that school and I love the culture there, I was underhired, and the committee was very clear with that. I came in as a secretary because I wanted to get out of media, but the credentials just did not justify secretary status. And I had leaders there willing to give me that chance. They were willing to hire me in that position, but they always took note that my desire and my wherewithal, that consistency and accuracy that I earned in journalism could take me so much farther than where I was. And so they were constantly looking for opportunities. President Olivier Charles of Bishop State comes to mind. He was my boss at Enterprise State. He was always looking for opportunities to move me forward. And so when an opportunity a few years later came available in Montgomery at the system office to really transition what we were doing on the communications front, I applied for that job. I went to him like you usually do. He supported my decision, of course, gave the "I hate to lose you" speech. Right. And I was blessed to get that job, not realizing years later, my boss told me that he actually made a call on my behalf to the system and said, "You got to give that one a chance." Now, years after that opportunity, I became the director of that very department that I came into as a social media coordinator, but having no idea that he was behind the scenes pulling those things made me realize that I want to be that person for as many folks as I can. When you have a work ethic and you have a respectable background where people listen to you, you want to take that opportunity to pull as many folks up as you can, because none of us get to where we are alone. But that quiet leadership, that never wanting to be recognized for being the one that gets someone to where they are, is such a respectable trait that I wish we had more of.
Right.
Do you see that in your working with your students now as the dean of students?
Absolutely.
Because you could be out there on you're like, look, here's Bobby, Mark, and Sally, and I registered all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But everything I've seen you post, and when I hear you talk, and I know this to be true about you, that's not what you do. You're like, hey, here's somebody go take a picture of Bobby. Here's the story. Do something with it, you know?
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And it's also like that recommendation letter when you think about students, right? Everybody needs a recommendation letter for a job, for a scholarship, for whatever. What better opportunity instead of writing on a piece of paper than to say, hey, you know what? The school has an opportunity for an interview up at the radio station. Why don't you go over there and tell them about your experience? They don't need to hear from me. They already know me. So also finding opportunities to plug students into real actionable opportunities versus just sending a letter.
So what do you think the cost is when leaders refuse or fail to be that hidden hand?
I think the cost is the difference between having a worker and a team. When we consistently promote our teammates, when we consistently celebrate our workers, we give them an opportunity of shared investment, right? We're all on the same team, and the success that we have, because the data shows our successes, isn't just because of one person, it's because of this team. When you don't celebrate that team, or you're constantly putting them at the forefront without preparation or without letting them know that it's not a situation where they're going to be punished if something doesn't turn out right, you create this worker mentality where people literally see your job as a 9 to 5. They're not going to commit to those extra chances because they never know if you're going to put them on the spot to their disadvantage. They're not going to volunteer to go that extra mile because their mindset is that this is literally just my income. Making them feel like a team changes all of that.
A get to do rather than got to do.
Absolutely.
Yep. Love that. And I think they'll take more risks for you.
Absolutely.
Especially a couple. You've got to hold their harness a few times and kind of push and pull. But then once they get that feeling that you're always holding that harness, if they need you to, man, they'll start jumping off that ledge.
They will.
No questions asked. You won't even know they're gone sometimes.
Absolutely. And they'll have your back. This opportunity at Reed State is such a blessing. It's the first time I've been a dean. Now, I've been in the system about 10 years, but the first time I've been a dean, the grace that was needed for that, you really have to have buy-in from a team that's willing to support you and not be like, oh, see, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That's why. Yeah. So coming in, really trying to garner that team, as long as we all have a shared vision. Now, you can't afford folks who are going off on their own tangents and creating their own vision. But having that shared team and having that grace among each other, it just makes so much more success for yourself and for your stakeholders.
Yeah, you mentioned that shared vision and relay that to a mission vision statement, and those are cliche at this point. Everybody's got one, gosh, but and what's the difference really? But that mission statement is turning that into a living story or your daily action. So when you're looking at that, we're thinking about leaders who take those missions and visions and actually put boots to the ground for them, right? So how do you take that kind of stuff from just the motto to actually what you do? Because y'all's motto is transforming lives and changing generations.
Absolutely.
So how do you do that daily?
You do that by looking at the circumstance of your culture and your community. And when I say circumstance, I mean the data of your region, obviously, looking at the jobs that are available, the jobs that are not available, the community activities, looking at everything that makes the ecosystem in your region and actually making intentional steps to transform lives and change generations. I give you a perfect example. Sometimes in higher ed, we look down when a student only wants online courses. For one, we believe there's so much to be gained in person. But for two, you just want to be sure you're not having this student who's just kind of the passerby student who thinks that class is going to be easy. I got a call from a student that wanted all online. And as the conversation went on, the student needed all online because they had their license suspended. This wasn't a student that was just kind of passerby. So when you're transforming a life and changing a generation, if I had said absolutely not, would that have done anything for that student besides them try to do the same thing at another school?
Got to go on somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Find somebody else that would say yes.
Absolutely. So looking at, again, what the circumstances is and then realizing legitimately how you can transform a life and change a generation drives the decisions that we make. Yeah.
So that particular student, we had one today coming down here, CDO student, I forget where he went to school. The company that wanted to hire him wanted a transcript. We don't do transcripts. The software just doesn't do it yet, right? I'm like, I don't have that. So long story, the guy is going to get a job, but like they need that data now to make it more of an official, like, I don't know, verification of CDO because of all the things going on with commercial drivers, whatever. And I'm like, okay. And I was thinking, like, I've got to get that done today for him. We can get those records out. And so for that student and all the ones you do with, because I know you're still on the phone. I've seen your post about it's 5 o'clock and I'm on the phone. And not in a brag way, but why do you have such a sense of urgency for every student or to put your story out when things do go right?
That goes back to journalism. We were all deadline oriented back then. And so that urgency really comes back from that deadline phase. Another decision is because these students can change their mind at any moment. They don't have to come to Reed State. They choose Reed State. So if that student is going to choose us, then what am I going to choose to ensure that they get to where they want to be? Another thing when it comes to accuracy, I remember as a reporter sitting at a city hall meeting and someone passing me a note and asking if I was Ebony Horton. And I text back yes, or sent back the note yes. And she sent a letter and said, thank you. This is an important meeting and I am deaf. So I'm looking forward to your story tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Ever since that moment, I have been extra intentional on making sure that I'm accurate in every movement I make. And now we all miss it sometimes. We all lose sometimes. But if it means that I need to stay over a few minutes with my team to help get students the right information and get registered, I'm game for it. And let's take a picture and hopefully motivate somebody else to do the same thing for their region.
Love that. Love that. So y'all had recently enrollment increase. Like I saw a post, like so many colleges, some were like, hey, we hit this mark, and some had we had this percentage. And I was really impressed by that around the state. What was y'all's own in that or stake in that?
Oh my goodness. So this last time we looked at about a 4% increase. This spring we're looking between a 10 and 15% increase.
Holy cow.
Last spring was the same situation, and it was my first term walking through a school with as a dean, but we got about a 15% increase at that time. What's exciting about that is the methods. Because of the community college system, they've blessed us with the opportunity to be able to text, to email through Target X, but also through the workforce division, providing us with data points, with lightcasts and analysts. All of this accurate information is allowing us to make more students believe in what we do. So it's not just this fairy tale story. We're actually telling them true data points on what it can mean for them if they continue their education. So I think that that's a huge plug for why all schools really are doing good with enrollment right now, but it has really helped us in rural Reed State. And now all of us, every school system or community college has a rural community in their region, have poorer communities in their region. But we try to look, moms often say that you're only as strong as your weakest child. So we try to look at those pockets where we have some of our weakest enrollment and really find out what story to tell to bring them on board. And that's really helping us.
Yeah.
What is hitting in those areas? Because we both worked in a county school system that was outside of Coleman, Alabama.
Yeah.
That was Coleman County Schools.
Okay.
Great place. Loved it. You know, I had nothing. Would go back there in a minute, but there were some spots there that, man, it was bleak.
Yeah.
Same thing in Morgan County. I worked there, and everybody knows that and owns it. Not a big deal. What kind of stories are you telling in those hardest hit areas that are, even in 2026, it's still just a massive struggle? What are you telling them to get them on the Reed State train?
We adopt the system idea or philosophy that college is for everyone. Now, everybody's not going to choose college, but for those who do, Reed State is a place, as Dr. Boykin says, that they are welcome to. And Dr. Boykin is our president. She expressed that years ago, one of the things that really helped them be successful in enrollment is that they took the students that nobody else wanted. So going to those communities where their full path of life was simply to maybe graduate high school, but then go to work on the farm or go elsewhere, knowing that they can have credentials, whether that's a skid steer credential or whether that's an associate in welding, to be successful and go farther. Those stories are the ones that are really helping us with enrollment in some of those rural areas. And I tell you, dual enrollment is number 2 when it comes to that. These students being able to get that dual credit who never thought about college in the first place. Well, now they have something in their hand where they can actually go and say, okay, I have these classes. How many more do I need to actually get that degree? Both of those have been huge wins in those smaller communities.
So with all your partnerships from the community, the stakeholders, your personnel, how do you tell those stories to make each entity feel like a part of that story when you're sending that out?
That's a great question. You find out what they want to hear. For example, when you think of some employers, they most of the time they just want a worker, right? So they're probably not going to want to hear the fact that, hey, Reed State has all these degrees. Yay. They want to hear, hey, Reed State trains workers to work in this industry here. And I actually have 2 or 3 students who are actually looking for an internship. What can we offer you to build that relationship? For that mom who's on the fence, because and we're kind of saturated in our area with community colleges, they want to hear what one community college has that's a difference to another. Well, because of the data the system helps us provide, I can actually look at the income of that home to an extent and say, hey, listen, your child has expressed interest in this career. In our community, we need these jobs because you want your baby at home. They can actually come here and get that credential and be able to put right back into your household, right back into your community. So it takes a little research. You can't just be throwing stories out there, right? You don't strike me mad as someone who likes romance movies. So if I just gave, really? Am I wrong?
Rom-com fanatic. Yeah, we watched one time we were hanging out. We watched How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Oh my goodness,
he cried at the Love Plant
Well, maybe I could throw an AMC ticket to you and tell you to go see one of those romance movies. But if you were someone who liked different movies, if you like an action show, me giving you a ticket to a romance movie isn't going to do much for you besides get a thank you, right? So I have to find out what my community wants and needs and what that stakeholder needs at the time, and we make it happen. This is also a bigger deal when you think about foundations and donations, right? Nobody's going to donate to something they don't believe in. So what story is really going to resonate with that particular stakeholder?
For the record, I don't know that I've ever seen How to Lose a Game in 10 Days.
It's a good one.
I may cry in whatever scene he said, but
it's a good
I have
one.
not seen it. Is it a good movie worth watching?
Oh, yeah. You and the Mrs. Heaton should definitely watch that.
Yeah.
I'll make a note right here.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's got Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey and a motorcycle.
You cannot miss with that, man.
I mean, what can go wrong?
Exactly.
We'll give it a go.
And a bridge anyway, I digress. We're getting way out of bounds.
So a little follow up to that. How does the workforce development kind of amplify those student success narratives as they go out and pursuing those different endeavors?
I tell you, we have a rock star workforce development director in David Cole, and he has a team now that just so happens to be from that region in multiple places. Usually in a bigger city, you'd have everybody pretty much kind of concentrated there, but we're all spread out. And so them kind of knowing the stories and the needs of their community, they know when that work thing is or whatever that alert is that a company's about to close, they already know before the company's about to close where we need to go or what positions are going to be vacant. They tend to know what mamas and daddies want in that region. When it comes to actually developing programs, they already have a pulse on the community. And so that's where workforce development really comes in increasing our enrollment and helping us create programs that will benefit people in that region.
And would you say that those type things help create the more foundational partnerships rather than that transactional?
Absolutely. It's more of the foundational area because they know they go to church together. They they hang out together in the afternoons. They know as a parent, as a worker, as a stakeholder who's supporting a lot of these local high schools and events, exactly what is needed. And so we don't just come knocking on doors to say, hey, we hear you're new here. How can we help? Or this is how we're going to help you. We already know, hey, listen, man, I can get you about 5 workers that are my buddies, but more importantly, I can get you about 15 students that are about to graduate here in the summer. Let's talk.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it does.
I remember when I was a principal, I didn't get a lot of buy-in right away. And once I started going to the little store, the old church next door that was now a kitchen and a music hall, kitchen by day, music hall by night, and having lunch over there, I never became part of the community, but I learned things. Yeah. And I knew what was going on in homes and in students' lives because I was hearing and I was immersed in it. And so having someone from your area that knows those things makes the community, part of the community college way more effective.
Absolutely.
We're talking all about these good stories, and that's a really fun part of our job. But being a leader and telling the story in the hard times is just as important as when everything is good. I saw there was right before Christmas, there was a rash across social media about telling the truth, and like, oh, not every day's perfect and everything can't be perfect on social media. And that lasted about 3 weeks, and everybody went back to, man, my life is good. And look at my job, look at my people, which is great. But we know that within our teams and within our students' lives and within the college as a whole, things aren't always perfect. We have a lot of hard moments. So how do you craft the narrative, either for print, for publication, for outward, or just inward communications when things aren't perfect? How do you tell the good story then?
I believe you have to have some kind of reason or happy ending as a result of sharing that news. Primary example, we had one student that was getting ready to withdraw from school, and it was one that we had high hopes for coming in. I mean, just a rock star story that you wanted to be able to tell when they walked across that stage with a diploma. But for whatever reason, that student needed to walk away. The fact that particular student did not walk walk away without feeling the need to let us know why and promising us that they would return was a story worth telling to the next one. So even though it did not seem like a success story at the moment, the success in that person believing in your team enough to know, hey, I just need to make sure that you know how I'm doing, was worth letting others know. We had a similar situation just recently. We're in that process where school has started and you know that you have some folks on your rolls who probably never intended on coming. They just registered. So when bills are due, they tend to get purged. I had a student yesterday who literally has one class to go, but wasn't registering for it yet because he wasn't sure how he was going to pay for it. And I let him know under no circumstances do you not register for that class. We are going to figure out a way. But if we don't let people know that those are the kind of deals that are made behind the scenes, then the next student who feels like they can't afford will never see and never even take that opportunity. And so I believe that you definitely want to be transparent as a leader, but more so translucent in the fact that if that story doesn't have a happy ending, figure out how to tell that story before it gets out there.
Mm-hmm. So owning the situation.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I think we, on the Skills for Success side, we talk a lot about our completion ratio and then how many people are getting jobs. And it's really hard for us to track that. I don't know that anybody can. But we own the data, and we realize that it doesn't matter like how many folks graduate from Harvard. They probably all get jobs somewhere. But as you trickle across the country, like community colleges or 4-year or whatever, like not everybody gets a job, or not everybody has that successful outcome that we think they should have, right?
Exactly.
But we own that data and say, here are the things we are doing. And in your case, you have that story of the kid that says, hey, I got to walk away. But if you didn't have that relationship with him, if you had not been leading in his life, their life, you would never have known. He would have just been a number, a statistic. Tell me this, though, all those hard moments that you have, how do they clarify the why of what you do and why you're always telling the good story?
As a solid leader, you want to be the one. You want to be the one who is the one who your team sees as responsible and accountable when it matters most. You want to be the one who, when you have that opportunity to promote or celebrate, you take advantage. But you also want to be the one that when something is going right, you can say that because of the practices and procedures and the heart that you put into it, that you contributed to that.
All right. So on the topic of leadership storytelling, 3-parter. So number 1, a leadership story that shaped you. Number 2, a story you intentionally tell to the whole team. And 3, a leadership mistake that down the road became your compass to what you do now. And sometimes that story could be all 3, but what are those and what do they look like for you?
Cool. I'll tell you one that shaped me again is President Charles. Someone, when I talk about that quiet hand, him and Chancellor Baker both, who's the chancellor of our entire system, are ones who take action, but there's so many actions behind those actions that truly lead to great success. And I'll be indebted to both because of just the dedication and care that they've had for my life. The one that I tell my team more than anything is that we are about wins. And it doesn't matter what that is. I have a team meeting every week, and I know that's not possible for every team to do, but every meeting never starts off with what our enrollment looks like. It doesn't start off with what happened this week. It starts off with wins, personal or public, for the school. Every meeting starts off with wins, and you find that some people take more advantage of that than others. They got to win every week.
Right.
Yeah.
But the intentionality of producing that and being able to try to find one of my own wins at least twice a month really helps lead that intentional celebration among the team so that we get that buy-in. And then I think the one that I learned that I probably won't do again moving forward is I guess, abrasiveness, for a lack of a better word, and wanting more for someone than they want for him or herself.
Yep.
Sometimes as leaders, we're blessed to see potential, and we're blessed to see where someone can go. But in the same way that we really need to hear that student story, the best second leader on your team may have no intentions of being a leader. They may have every intention of going home to their family every night, not working after hour, being the best rock star in the daytime, but that not being their desire. And so to continually put people in situations where they can be most successful, but that's not the success they seek, you tend to lose people that way. And that was a hard lesson for me, because it's like, wait, I wanted you to have the best. But at the end of the day, you can only want for someone what they want for themselves.
Absolutely.
We're getting close to the end. Time 30 minutes flies by.
Oh my goodness, it does.
And I could be here all day with you. But looking at this, the storytelling aspect of leadership, like if you could put it in a blurb that every leader could take out there and meditate on today, what would it be?
It will be that none of us makes it by ourselves. So take the opportunity to show why you are who you are through your people.
Through your people.
Take that opportunity to let everybody see the great things that are happening in your area, but put your folks at the forefront so that they can see the who and the why behind it all.
Love that. Team first.
Team first.
Love it. Well, Ebony, we certainly appreciate your time here today. I appreciate all the guidance you gave when you were in system office. And I love bouncing things off when we can now that you're in your role. Your students down there.
Yeah. Thank y'all. Y'all are a rock star team.
Thanks for these snazzy shirts.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, they sleep well too, man.
I love rocking a college shirt at somewhere that's not where I live. You're like, oh, who's that? I want that's a nice looking shirt. Where do I get one? I was like, you got to go to Reed State.
You got to go to Reed State. And hey, I'll put a plug in for my other schools. The reason I give them out is because in Prattville, where I live, I kept seeing all these coastal and CAC swag. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? So
I will say I've got a black coastal coyote shirt.
Yeah, me too. I got that one. Yeah.
I won mine at Spring PD one year.
I won mine as well. Tegan, my oldest son, has taken mine over. I don't get to wear it anymore. It's his.
Yeah, but it's good stuff. Well, good. Thank you so much for being here. Final thoughts on all things leadership, storytelling.
Hey, make the most. Get out there and win. Get out there and win.
I love that. Get out there and win. How can folks find you and your team?
You can find me at Reed State. My email is ebradley@rstc.edu. My whole team, we're at Student Services at rstc.edu.
Perfect. Love it. Matt, final thoughts?
Appreciate you making the trip. It's been enjoyable. Like Houston said, we could sit here for another hour and talk about all things. But thank you for what you've done for and with us, and what we know you're going to do in the future.
Thank you.
Yes,
thank you.
Yeah, man. Wrap this thing up like a dirty taco.
Absolutely. As always, any of the topics we've discussed or courses that are offered by Skills for Success, you can find those at trainforalabama.com. Again, that is trainforalabama.com. Again, we want to thank Ebony for being here again today. And at this time, this is going to conclude another episode of Innovation Unplugged. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow on all your social media platforms. Have a great afternoon.